The minute the brand is addressing the need of the consumer and giving them a relief, they are more than satisfied to pay the price for it also. So this is where for the need based. Then the snack based. Everybody wants to snack. What kind of snack you want, whether it's a Maggie, whether it's an active popcorn, which now is available in sachets, ready-made already. So that's how you keep expanding your consumption base.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another exciting episode of FaceTime with Leaders. I'm your host, Tanayol, and today we have an extraordinary guest who has revolutionized some of the biggest brands in India. From launching Sprite and Kinley to expanding the presence of iconic products like Active Popcorn and Volini, Mr. Srivastava's journey is nothing short of inspiring. Mr. Alok Srivastava, it's an absolute pleasure to have you with us today. Your expertise in transforming brands and driving growth has made a huge impact across industries. With over 25 years of experience, you've navigated everything from P&L management to large-scale operations. It's safe to say you've seen it all.
Thank you. Thank you for the warm welcome, and it's great to be here. And yes, I'm excited to share the journey of my corporate career of 25 years with the people concerned, and good to be sharing that experience.
And we can't wait to dive into those stories, sir. From overcoming challenges to scaling operations, you've been at the forefront of brand growth. Your hands-on approach to turning around P&Ls and creating market leaders is something that can inspire both budding entrepreneurs and seasoned professionals.
Yes, Tanay, that's been a journey, and it has had its success and failures, and it's spanned across multiple kinds of brands and categories of consumer products, and therefore across the board, the experience that I will share, which could add and would be adding value to the person hearing this or wanting to understand further from this industry of FMCG and the consumer product companies. So that's where I would like to share my experiences as well.
We're sure, sir, and I'm sure everyone here will be taking notes today. So, sir, let's dive right into it. Our first question, and before we dive into all the future stuff that you plan, we want to know all the exciting work you've done in the past. Like, we'd love to take you back to your past for a little. Tell us about your journey. Like, how did it all start for you? What was some of the pivotal moments that led you down the path you've taken today?
Okay, so just a little bit, very shortly, my personal self. I have grown up in a railway officer's kind of a place in the railway colonies in a protected environment, and I'd seen dad transferred from Guwahati to Chittaranjan to Bombay to Kanpur to Jaipur. So during the growing years, I've traveled across the country myself, and that kind of adds value to your ability to be merging in with the different kinds of cultural environments and therefore the marketplace in the future. So that's where it started. But as always, and during my time, it was either engineering or medicine, and I was very interested in. I was great at maths and physics. So by default, you take the JE exam, and just to put some point in place, I did not take any coaching. I love to solve problems. So it was purely studying the maths books and the physics and chemistry, and qualified JE in during that time. And therefore, studied electrical engineering at BHU, IIT BHU. And after that, I joined the Steel Authorities of India Limited, which is at Rourkela. So I was not at all perturbed by being in a small town, which I've never been before in Rourkela, because I'd seen it during my parents' transfer across India. And that is where, from just adding, I mean, connecting a few small motors and understanding your electrical, what you call basic engineering skills, to coming to a behemoth of an industry where you have 33 kV, 33 megawatt motors, 3 megawatt motors, 11 kilovolt, and huge three-story kind of motors, three-floor size of motors. It kind of gives you a different perspective on what the vastness or the scalability of operations can be. So at a very young age, at 22, 23, when you suddenly delve into this, it's fascinating, number one. Number two, it clears your mind of don't think small, think big.
Yeah.
Automatically, the environment will adjust. The global environment is so large that you need to be looking at things in a broader perspective, in a larger perspective. So that was my journey at start of it. But by the time I was in the second year, I said, "Now I don't want to be stuck in Rourkela. I need to be someone working in the global industries, and I need to be understanding business models and businesses." So that's when I decided, let me take my CAT and my ZAT exam, the Combined Aptitude for IIMs and the Xavier's Aptitude Test. And I did take that. I qualified IIT, IIM Lucknow and Bangalore. But then, see, the word entrepreneurship in the 1990s did not exist. Whereas if I look back now, what did I answer wrong in that interview? I said I wanted to start my own business of electrical items like contactors, switch gears, fans, lighting equipments, etc. Probably did not resonate with in the interview at the IIMs level. They would much rather be talking about joining the corporate sector with growing brands in that place, or in the finance field being a. So that was where, anyway, the objective was I needed to understand business management so as to be able to contribute, whether for myself or for the companies that I work for. And during management, normally people take one elective as a major, either marketing or finance or HR. I intentionally decided to do marketing and finance as a major. Very few people take this combination together, and I didn't bother about the other subjects. I said you learn anyways in the corporate, whether it's HR, whether it's IT. I was good at analytics or operations management, already seen it. So the background was business side, and you can't do a business of marketing or growing a brand without understanding the financial implications and the money is required, and how do you do your budgeting. So hence I had done the majoring of both marketing and finance. So that's how my journey started, as a build up, as a pivotal moment. And in fact, I wanted to join the finance sector, but for the fact that in '92 the Harshad Mehta scam happened, and therefore the finance sector, the recruitment or the very less companies were coming from the finance side. So, and my professor said, "You great in marketing and you've done your finance. You will build up a good corporate, be a very good corporate entity in the corporate world as a business manager." And that's how I moved into the marketing of various kinds of consumer products. So that was the start of my journey.
Yeah, lovely how part of history can change and rather define what path you take in its own small ways, but it always happens, right?
It happens. It happens. You never know where the path is going to lead you, even though you know the track, but sometimes it takes a little
Yeah,
deviation. Yeah.
absolutely. Sir, you've been at the helm of some of India's most iconic brand launches like Sprite and Volini, and managed P&Ls for powerhouses like Coca-Cola and fast food chains like Vaango. When you think back to those early days, especially in a fiercely competitive market, what were some of the biggest hurdles you faced during these launches, and how did you manage to not just overcome them, but turn those challenges into opportunities for success, particularly when you were also focusing on reaching the diverse Indian consumer from urban centers to the heart of rural India?
Absolutely. So let me give you two prime examples. I'll start with the Sprite launch. Now, in 99 February, I'll cut it very short because in 99 February, Sprite was being introduced into India. And the first place it was being launched was in Vizag franchise, which I was the general manager for. And the rest of, now in Andhra, the undivided Andhra had 7 bottling plants. All of them were 75% market share. But Vizag was at 57% market share. When you look at the data, you realize it's a far bigger lime market. So we had a sizable contribution from Limca, not so much from the cola brands. So I saw this as an opportunity. So it's not a hurdle. I would say there's always an opportunity. I saw this as an opportunity to grow my market share. And from planning for glasses and production planning, that leave aside, I won't go into details. But the impact of the launch was important. It's not about just putting the product in the market. How does the Indian consumer at that time had not heard of Sprite? Remember that. Only if somebody had gone abroad, it was the first time entry into the Indian market. So for a consumer, it was a completely new brand. Now, how do you make a success of a brand which is not heard of in India? So we were running 25 route trucks. I'm just giving an example. And I said, we will run this all in one straight line in the city of Visakhapatnam from 8:30 in the morning till 8:30 in the night. Create disruption. Sprite was meant to be doing that. If you see the Sprite ads, they are kind of how disruptive can you be? So this was to create impact. We were carrying merchandise items like pens, keychains, caps, t-shirts, etc., to be distributed. And the entire purpose on that day, because the consumer trial is most important. So those 25 trucks loaded with 200 crates each, and each crate having 24 bottles, were only meant for drive around the city from 8:30 to 8:30, make the consumer drink. The trials, this is part of the marketing strategy. People need to try and need to try everything for free. Let them have the taste of it. And in the same time, a day before, all the marketing, the signboards that you get backlit and frontlit ones, it was assigned which store outlets there would be. So one day before, they were already at the outlet place. The day we were driving around, they were being put up on those outlets so that the visibility increases. The consumer gets to see it. You create a disruption, the traffic jams, etc., so that people stop, they get a little agitated. And we had talked with the commissioner's office that you will, in case you get any major complaints, we will break the routes. And that's how we launched. No selling of Sprite on that particular day, just trials, consumption, freebies, visibility, all of that to create an impact at that place. So that was one. And then day two onwards, obviously, it was filling up the market with saleable stocks at every outlet. And Vizag in February starts becoming warm and humid. So this was the start of the summer season. You are well in time before the actual season starts. And soft drink is all about you catching your business from March to June, July. That's your peak sale. I mean, 65% of your sale comes during these months. If you catch it, you have it. If you missed it, you can never meet your annual budget. And this was, and then exactly in August of 1999, that is 6 months from launch, we were at 71% market share. So that's how you fight the market from 57 to 71 in exactly 6 months. That's how we jump. So I'm just giving one example of a success story.
Yeah.
You need to realize your opportunity area, where it lies. You need to tap that opportunity, and more importantly, your execution skills, so that the consumer gets to understand and try the brand is critical. You just do a kind of a small launch, it will not get you that impact that you expect it to be. And post that, the entire country, and today Sprite is the bigger brand than Coke and Pepsi, incidentally. As a brand, it's bigger than Coke and Pepsi. So that's how the brand was launched by me, and I felt great about it. And so that's one. The second was Volini. Volini is all a topical analgesic, which was in Ranbaxy in the pharma division, written by doctors. Now it had to move to the OTC division. And there were two behemoths, the Iodex and Move, which were very big brands in this topical analgesic segment. But then I realized the advantage that I have. I have a product which is superior to them with diclofenac. They don't have it. They were selling it in the kirana stores because the minute diclofenac is there, you need to be only at the chemist. And when you get pain, you will not go to a kirana store. You will go to a chemist to buy. The trade channel is that for me. And they were pro Volini because it was a kind of pharma, and the margins are bigger for pharma products for them than the FMCG products. So I had the trade advantage, I had the product advantage. All I had to do was execute it well. And so just launched it across, and then put up the FMCG model of sales administration in the entire pan-India, so that you monitor your sales and your market inputs by at the lowest level at the branch by the branch. So you delegate it to the branch instead of monitoring it from the center, and let them drive the growth across the pan-India. And from a 27 odd crore brand, it is the largest brand today in the topical analgesic segment. And now Move and Iodex have also added diclofenac to kind of fight with Volini. So when you see the advantage, the product is important, its placement, its channel partners, influence, who's the influencer segment, will that segment help you in growing that brand? If you can understand it, so there's no rocket science at all in anything. It's just logical, analytical thinking. No brand, every brand can be made into a success. So I'm just giving you two examples where a major success story turnaround happened. And in fact, our OTC division, from being a kind of a smallest division of the company, it became the most profitable division of the company. So that when the Ranbaxy consumer healthcare division sneezed, that is, if it lost some amount of its bottom line, the company coughed. So it was that kind of a profitable venture. And I would say I love to be part of that growth strategy and the growth model which happened. So these are two brands. There were so many, but for the paucity and just the concept wise, how you can make a brand successful. Execution is important, area of opportunity is important, and understanding the consumer need. Why will the consumer touch you as a brand? You are the brand personality. Think of yourself as Volini. Think of yourself as Sprite. Why will Tane pick me up? And if you have that answer, you got a good story going.
Yeah, 100%. As long as you're able to disrupt the market in the right way,
In the
why
right way.
not?
Why not? And it brings us a successful story. So I'm
Yeah,
just cutting short by giving two specific examples.
100%. So, your entrepreneurial journey has been remarkable, especially with launching Nature and Me, a brand that spans both food and body care, which is quite an ambitious move. Balancing sourcing and branding across these two diverse categories must have been a fascinating challenge. We would love to know what was the most exciting part of this entrepreneurial project for you, and how did you manage the complexities of merging food and body care under one cohesive brand?
So let me give, after having launched so many brands and created success stories, then just a day I decided, it came to my mind, why not create your own brand? And this is in 2012, when the entrepreneurial journeys of India was starting. There were some about less than 300 odd entrepreneurs at that point of time. So I said, why not make your own brand? And I said, okay, fine. Now, yes, you want to think of something entrepreneurial, but what do you want? That idea didn't come. And obviously, you're studying, you're researching a lot of it, and you have the spare time because I had taken a 1 year sabbatical from the corporate job. So I said, let me just go through that and understand what is that area of opportunity again where I can look at creating my own brand and space. And that's when I understood that the organic food market was growing dramatically. I was growing in India, and Western world was already into a major way of organic food, especially Germany, North America, Canada, etc. Were already majorly into organic foods, whether it's fresh foods or whether it is packaged food item. I said, this is an opportunity. And the next thing, there were only two players in the market, 24 Mantra in the south and Down to Earth in the north. I said, here is a disruptive point which I can, by being somebody different. So now you start all this, then thankfully, because of experience, opening up of a company, registrars of companies, getting your company registered through then, okay, now how do the brand logo look like? What should be the tagline? While I was thinking of this, I caught up a old colleague of mine. She was in the advertising business. I said, create me a brand logo, which can be pure green. It depicts purity and freshness, etc. Just create that. And while standing in one of these Spencer's or these kind of stores, self-service departmental stores, you interacted with the consumer. Why are you picking up this organic food? It's so costly. It's costlier. Then that lady was said, it is. I said, are you sure this is organic? She said, it is better than the other, the normal stuff. So I don't mind. I said, isn't it expensive? She says, I buy normal stuff would be for a household 4,500. This will be 6,500. Big deal. But if my family can remain happy, I'm giving them a healthier lifestyle. That's where my tagline came in: the earthier, healthier lifestyle. A consumer talking in a passionate manner got me the Nature and Me, the earthier, healthier lifestyle. Now, this brand was supposed to encompass anything that is earthier, healthier. So it was, one was the food segment, the other was the natural oil-based body care segment. Then there was supposed to be a organic cotton. So your entire, let's say the children's infant wear, the undergarments, the towels, the handkerchief of what do you call organic cotton with jute fibers. It's a big market across the world, and global, it can expand globally. I said, let me delve into it. Now came the sourcing plan. Where do you source it from? Now you can't be restricted to one. So at least I found one place in Jaipur. Then I said, therefore, all the register, including getting my brand registered as an IPR with Geneva for a global patency. I got that done, the FSSAI done, all the legal statutory, because when you create a brand, remember one thing, it has to be humble and it has to be ethical. You cannot be talking about a brand without these two aspects. Otherwise, you're not creating a brand, you're just doing a business profitable strategy, which is not the way to grow a brand. One thing I learned over my years, that the minute there is some unethical practices, brands die very fast. The consumer is like a very sentimental person. She will drop the brand the minute there is a scam or anything unethical about it. So I said, this was my way. So got everything, statutory clearances done, FSSAI done, sourcing from Jaipur, started my organic, and I was sourcing my body care material from Parvanu, where a friend of mine had a packaging center. So between the two, I started the brand, and I said, let me put the proof of concept before I go to the VCs and the angels for funding. So, and it was moving in Delhi. It was, but then when you create a brand, you can't create from your savings. You need investment. And the entrepreneurial journey had just started at that point. So I was at that the entire statutory thing, and then the sourcing from Jaipur started that. And I wanted to put the proof of concept in the marketplace before I approached an angel or a VC for funding. Because I'd opened up a private limited company, and that's important. On my money, I cannot create the brand. It requires investment. One of the biggest resources for driving a brand. Up till now, I'd worked with companies with deep pockets. So there was never a problem of launching or growing a brand. But when it comes to your own entrepreneurship, the money is the critical factor for anybody, any business to grow, any brand to grow. And that is where, so I said, and I placed it in Delhi. It was taking off the shelf. But then I needed that funds for working capital management, for further investment, and etc. I this is where the failure comes when you don't see the entire bigger picture. Those days, the funding was happening on e-commerce. I must have met 50, 60 VCs, angels. All of them said, open a e-commerce, e-dukan. So basically, you're not creating a brand, you're creating a marketplace. I said, I'm creating a brand. I can't give you the valuation game. They were asking for 1 ka 5, 1 ka 10 in the next 5 to 6 years. I said, valuation game is a different story. Creating a brand is a different story. Yes, once the brand attains a certain critical mass, it automatically jumps its valuation. But then I'm not doing the valuation game. This is where the failure of, let me put it this way. Today, there are investments in brand, but at that point of time, everybody was talking, follow the Flipkart model, follow the Amazon model. And I had the best of my website, better than Amazon had at that point of time. The search engine would throw up my website on page 1 without me investing into it. I had done a search engine. So the entire thing, I'd done it very passionately. The entire packaging, design, how, what size should be with a kind of a, what do you call, thread and scale, finding out, going to the marketplace and buying that stomping machine and the mold in which I could cut the soap. So all of that single-handedly, and I was enjoying it, till the point that I suddenly realized I'm not going to get any further money. Nobody's going to fund this operation because it's not an e-commerce and it's not a valuation game. Today, when I think of those times and still today, what is the difference? There's a youngster, a 30, 35-year-old youngster who has an idea. There's an investment bank company, which is a group of HNIs. They are looking in investment mold. This guy's got an idea. The real business strategy, there's a disconnect. One wants to make money, one wants to build up the idea. And mostly in the service industry, you will rarely find. And why did I create the nature in me? I wanted to go global. That was my intent to how does an Indian brand reach the global markets with the ethics and standard that it should possess. That was my intention of the story of the creation of this brand. So that is my entrepreneurship. Yes, I had tied up with sourcing points at Bombay, at Surat, at Madurai, at Bangalore, so that in case I was to expand, I had my sourcing locations done. All I had to do was send my packaging material, get it packed, and you could feed the entire country. That was my objective. Unfortunately for me, I was ahead of time, as all of my friends in the corporate world said, that it was you were ahead of the time. Today is the time to launch it, but not in 2012. So these are the kind of, you are confident, you're going to the story that it will happen, but others don't think that it can happen, and they're playing on a different game. So that's where the failures come. That's when you realize now at this age that you need to plug all your holes before you even think of a bigger picture. And
Yeah.
so that's important. So
It
that's our
always helps.
entrepreneurial journey.
Yeah, but always helpful to go into the market, learn, see what happens, and
Exactly.
that's what now everyone tells, even the youngsters, right? Start early, figure what goes wrong so that you can recover, and then,
Absolutely.
like you
Absolutely.
said, fill all the holes so that that doesn't happen again.
Correct. Correct. Correct.
Yeah.
There are a lot of these in the unicorns also who failed. Why? The minute you have a disconnect and then and you're going after what do you call valuation game
Yeah.
without sticking to your core of what you want to create, and when you chase the investor's dream, you killing your own dream. This is where in the when we come to later, I would want to tell you this is where the pitfalls of a young entrepreneur comes into play.
So you've had the remarkable ability to drive market penetration across both premium and popular segments, something many brands strive for, but only a few truly master. In your experience, what would you say is the most important factor in creating a brand that not only stands out but also resonates with the consumers regardless of their demographic?
So that okay, brands are of various kinds. You can skim the market with elite with the luxury brands. You can be a mass penetrative brand, which is a need of every Indian consumer or every consumer globally. You one has to decide where you want to reach. As an example, just to give you an example from the erstwhile days, Maggie, as a concept in the early in the 70s, you and me did not eat instant noodle for snacks. It was either samosa or idlis at that on those days. But Nestle stuck on with that model that this is a success story that can be created for mass consumer. And today it's the benchmark of distribution and benchmark as a brand. You need to be persistent with that, and you need to be clear what you want to achieve. If Kellogg's wants to achieve the breakfast table, capture the breakfast table, it has taken them 20 plus years and is still struggling. That's the creation of a brand. This is not a valuation game. This is overall you creating the dynamics of the market of the country that you want to launch in. So when you think of, for example, Volini was an expensive 70 rupee tube, not easily taken. But when I went to Patna, Hajipur, and its kind of village markets, I realized that they obviously when you go, these guys can't afford that 70 rupees. So a smaller tube needs to come in when you affordability without compromising on the quality as well as the margins that you make in the product. And 15-gram tube, which was a 35 rupee, was a success story. Why did Volini succeed? You're penetrating the market, you create then the sprays. When your sports injury, we had a very small contribution from sprays. It was just a 2% of the overall contribution. But there's a huge usage of sprays, and suddenly you give it an impetus across, and you find that the market is willing to accept it, irrespective of usage. So there is you decide as a marketer who your consumers are. If it's a mass market product, ensure that the mass market gets the ability to buy it, purchase it, use it. So the minute you understand that, you can address those issues, those small hiccups that comes along your way. So whether it's a metro market or whether it's a 10,000 pop strata market or a 5,000 village, there is a consumer everywhere. And it is a need. If you have a pain, and village people get lots of painful joint while working at the farms. So how do you address that? Now, capsaicin or a move of Volini at that point could not address it, even though they were using it. Volini addressed it, and then they found their relief. The minute the brand is addressing the need of the consumer and giving them a relief, they are more than satisfied to pay the price for it also. So this is where for the need based. Then the snack based. Everybody wants to snack. What kind of snack you want, whether it's a Maggie, whether it's an Active popcorn, which now is available in sachets, ready-made already. So that's how you keep expanding your consumption base. What's marketing all about? Increase users, increase usage. There are two simple rules of building a brand. How do you do that? Increase users. How do you do that? Penetrate the market. You have your distribution channel. And how do you use your increase user usage? change the type of consumption, automatically the usage. So every brand has the scope, depends upon how they define where they need to go, how deep they need to go, or they just want to skim the market. It's a simple story. There's nothing rocket science behind this. It's how you want to go there, and the early mover advantage is obviously very important.
Yeah.
When the early mover advantage, you have it, and you got a story going.
But very well said, sir. You put it so simply about what marketing actually is, right? It's about increasing the
Just two
usage.
simple formulas:
Yeah.
increase users, increase usage.
Yeah.
Nothing more.
And you might complicate as much as you want with everything that's not, but as if you're
Basic
looking
concept.
at basics,
Basics,
that's
just
what it is
basics.
about, right?
That's all
And
marketing is
about
all about.
persistence.
Obviously,
Staying there, like
your
you said, that
execution, your ethical standards, your quality delivery, you can't compromise on that in any way.
true.
The consumer will pick you up. Trust me. The consumer trusts a brand until they get what do you call, thrown away by
But
something wrong about the brand. See,
true.
giving you an example, Coca-Cola went through the pesticide issue way back in 2004, 2005. But it's a brand you have to, it's a world biggest, one of the big iconic brands. You spend so much on brand ambassadors talking very nice about it and apologizing for what has happened so that you build up the sentiments which had fallen for the brand to build it up again. And lo and behold, it's holding on. So that's what is important. The persistence, as you said, it is important that you cannot let the brand just be dying down. And that's the individuals sitting in the organization who need to be that strong individuals who are willing to say with humility, yes, we made a mistake. The consumer is the king, and we will take it forward.
So, looking ahead, what are your aspirations for the future, both in terms of continuing your entrepreneurial journey and expanding your influence in the boardroom? How do you see yourself evolving in these spaces, and what kind of impact do you hope to make in the years to come?
So this is where by learning, I've been in the corporate sector, I've been in the entrepreneur myself. Now there are so many companies which are trying to stagnating with the brand or wanting to launch something or build up the company completely. There are entrepreneurial. There's an entrepreneur, there's an entrepreneurship, which is in the corporate. When you create the brand, it's an entrepreneurship, and therefore, so I would like to help in the boardroom. What are the things from my experience, how the journey has to be, whether it is capturing the market size, increasing the market, capturing shares, or whether you're doing an entrepreneur or creating a new segment altogether as an entrepreneur where you want to be. This with the sole intention that you have to be ethical. There has to be within the company also, if there's toxicity, it rubs on the brand and the consumer can feel it. How do you create an environment in the company which is very positive, motivated to deliver all these, and therefore it rubs on the brand. So you create that environment. You give them the mentoring. You give them the guidance of how you take us forward. Between this is where I want to contribute to companies or which are entrepreneurial or otherwise some companies, mid-sized companies, which want to take it to the next level and they are looking for avenues of growth. I can possibly add value so that as an overall, and yes, my biggest thing is I would love to see my Indian companies grow as their brands and take it. I don't know why we are scared of taking our brands internationally. Why are we considered only a service sector? Why can't we create? Yes, brands can't be created overnight. It'll take 2 decades, 3 decades, but start the journey. And somewhere somebody needs to start. Why should we be eating Unilever products or P&G products, or why can't Indian products be brand name is far more important than the company name, and brand name is global. It doesn't matter who the consumer is as long as you're satisfied. So this is my purpose of how I would want to help the corporate sector in the boardroom along with the growth strategy for that company or two, whichever I intend to join or can
Uh,
join.
and the next few years, I think you're very right, sir, that is what India has started to show. Like you said, in 2012, people were thinking of entrepreneurship. Now, the number of people coming up with
Two and a
businesses,
half lakh plus entrepreneurs now, and that time there were 300. This is the
imagine.
kind of I'm happy that people are thinking in India.
Yeah,
Somebody will come up with the thought process of creating a global brand. Some days it will happen. So it's good that the
100%.
entrepreneurial thinking is coming. It's a positive sign for India. It just need to develop in a larger scale so that you go to the
Yeah.
outside market in the long run. That's
Yeah.
the essence. That's where I want to add value. And that was my thought process as an entrepreneur. I want to see that somebody else succeeds in doing that.
Sir, you've had the chance to dive deep into both the FMCG sector and corporate governance, and that's a combination not many entrepreneurs have. From your experience, how important do you think good governance is for new businesses, especially in a fast moving space like FMCG? What role do you believe it plays in ensuring that businesses not only succeed but also sustain their growth in the long run?
So that's very critical. If you're looking at a short term to valuation game and then walking out by selling it and making that money, that's a business of a different kind. But when you create something for the consumer in the long run, the ethics is important. Corporate governance, therefore, somebody has to not think short term. Lots of times, the people involved directly with the business are only thinking from the perspective of how to make the next dollar. Whereas it's not always true. There will be difficulties. You need to have that, what do you call a solid base as a spine to be able to endure all that because a brand is not a one day's game, is not a one generation's game also. It is a multiple generations have to follow. And if you keep that standards alive, quality wise, ethic wise, work culture wise, which is the sustainability and governance is important. If you have good governance, sustainability comes. If there's sustainability, the brand grows. So it's critical that governance starts wherein you teach every employee of that company has to be ethically motivated and not shortcuts. From the CEO to the down. In fact, in my own history, I have never fired a person for incompetence, but two people for unethical practices. That I will not tell. I could not tolerate because don't take shortcuts. You can't do it, doesn't matter. You'll get one something to hear. But that doesn't mean that you will break the system because the entire trade channel, the channel partners, the the consumer trusts you to being ethical. And that's the brand that has to stand for. So a couple of people taking quick steps or shortcuts kill that path of the brand growth. So that is where the corporate governance comes. Through that, it comes to sustainability, it comes to growth. That's the model in which I see. And every senior people in the company should be looking at that if you want a stable environment.
Yeah. And that is one thing that can be uniform across everybody, right? Where
Across
everyone is
industry,
ethical. And
across industry, across categories, across consumer
yeah.
products, whatever. The
And
basic
that
thing is the nature of that company.
and
Is
that
it
would get a lot of respect out of consumers as well, right? The ethical,
absolutely?
like a Tata today has that respect
Tatas have
because
that respect. I just an example.
yeah,
I mean, I loved the brand Nirav Modi had created, the Nirav brand.
yeah,
Everything was good. He was going global. What happened? Why did it die? Because of his unethical practice.
correct.
Otherwise, the brand was done good, but
Yeah,
the way he grew it was the wrong thing.
yeah.
And for his personal wealth, that's where you kill the brand. That's where the governance comes in. Wherein in such companies, there should be a non-corporate director sitting to ensure that things are not falling out of place and therefore the brand continues to stay.
Yeah. And today that would have been a hugely successful
Huge
business if that
global
small thing would
brand.
have been taken into account.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So that is where the corporate governance is critical to sustain and therefore grow.
So I understand that you've recently joined Directors Institute. That's an exciting step, especially for someone with your experience in both entrepreneurship and corporate governance. Could you share what motivated you to join and how you believe being a part of this community will support your future goals, both professionally and as a leader?
So, as I explained to you, where do I want to go? I want to be in the corporate governance to ensure brand growth, sustainability, all of that. Again, there's no rocket science. There's a platform which is giving me that opportunity where I can use my skill sets and my abilities to move into the corporate world in this kind of a role. And Directors Institute is the platform which is helping me and will is helping me definitely getting you to talk with me, getting my network built up because of this. Directors Institute is, I'm thankful to the Directors Institute that they are giving the platform for which somebody with my experience can come in and contribute to the corporate world of today.
Thank you so much for this kind words, sir. It's been a really insightful conversation and a pleasure to hear from you. Your journey and wisdom you shared about entrepreneurship, governance, and leadership have undoubtedly resonated with all of us. So, thank you so much, sir.
Thank you so much. Thanks for talking to me.
And lastly, thank you so much to all our listeners for tuning in today. I hope you found this conversation as inspiring and thought provoking as I did. Don't forget to subscribe and stay tuned for more engaging stories from industry leaders. Until next time, keep striving for excellence, stay curious, and as always, have fun in your journey. Thank you so much.